Sometimes I get frustrated with myself because I feel like I'm enclosing myself in a small social space that's safe, but because that space is so small, I don't feel like I get the chance to grow. I think the biggest culprit of this is doom scrolling nowadays and getting stuck on an algorithm, getting stuck on your For You page and flipping up with your thumb for hours and hours and hours. And you don't even realize that much time has passed. And then you look and it's like 2 o'clock and you haven't even eaten lunch yet. And shoot, if it's the winter, the sun is pretty close to going down and all that stuff. It's just frustrating because it feels like you have so much potential in your life, yet you're wasting it away, and nothing came out of it. If you go into your phone and you look, how many hours a day are you on this app or that app or all of them collectively, and then you compare it by how many hours of the day you're awake, it's probably going to be pretty disturbing. Probably not going to like it, but you've probably heard this conversation more than once. You've probably thought about this more than once. You'll look and then you'll get motivated, and then you'll buy some app or purchase this thing that helps you get away from the apps for a while, or you lock the app for certain times a day, and then over time you go easy on yourself and you delete that app that holds you responsible, and then you're back into the same routine of getting caught on an algorithm. And I feel like what this does is that it just doesn't let us think for ourselves a lot. Again, going back to my initial metaphor about us getting trapped in such a small box that feels safe but doesn't let us grow, the other effect of that is that you don't think for yourself and you're not very self-reflective. And I think the unfortunate effect of that is that you're not really being yourself fully. Because I think you have to step outside of yourself and look at yourself to be a self. I know that sounds confusing, but basically it's about self-reflection. You have to think about who you are, and to think about who you are, that's an action. You have to get out and you have to do something, right? And when you live in this state that I'll call the state immediacy, like when you're doom scrolling, like when you're caught in some algorithm, like when you're following some and you're comparing yourself like indefinitely to other people that you don't even know, that you just have some weird parasocial relationship with through some TikTok feed, then you get stuck in a state to where your reality is only right in front of you. It's like you're only thinking like 3 or 4 thoughts at a time, and you're like on automatic mode, but like you're aware that you're on automatic mode, and you're frustrated that you're on automatic mode, but you're still powerless to get out of it because of your own will. Anyway, all that rant aside, that's what I'm thinking of when I think of immediacy. And I think too many people are stuck in that. And when you get stuck in immediacy, you don't think for yourself and you don't even be a self at all. It's like a house that doesn't have anybody there, right? Is that a home? Not really. The home is when a person is there, then that there's an inhabitant. And I think people need, this year at least, in the age of AI, in the age of grifters, in the age of trends, people need to step outside of that and be individuals. Look, that doesn't mean that like I'm not all for like collective work and getting things done in activism and banding together and greater movements. I don't mean that by any means, but what we're seeing is that we're seeing the dangerous kind of collectivism overtaking society today, where people are getting stirred up into echo chambers, and it's harmful, and it gets really dangerous if we look at examples of when this happened only 100 years ago, right? We need to be very, very careful about what's happening here. And I think AI and social media are exacerbating the danger of this issue. We need to be extremely careful. And so this time, when you hear some random ass dude rant about how you should get off your phone and get off of all those apps and step outside, freaking touch grass for once, I could just be another one of those random dudes, and you could forget about me in a week. Or I could be the guy that got you started, that got you rolling into really being yourself in 2026. It would be an honor if I was that person, but truly the ball is in your court. And I just don't want you, how do I say this? I think in the future, I'm in my 20s. I think in the future, when we're in our 50s or 60s or 70s, it's going to be a very different sort of experience looking back at our past life, different from the looking back at our past life experience that boomers have right now, because the world that boomers look back on, their 20s and 30s, was totally different than the one we look back on. And we have social media and algorithms and technology dialed up to 11, right, in a very, very different way. And so when we're in our 60s and 70s, we're going to have all sorts of different reminiscings. We're going to have all sorts of different forms of guilt, and we're going to be wishing that we lived life more presently, right, and more self-aware. I know that was a bit of a crazy rant, but that's what I'm passionate about. Thank you.